we looked around for an imam, and I think the first imam, if I'm not mistaken, was Haji Dean,
Okay.
the Trinidadian.
Yeah.
Richard Dean was his name, and he came along and he, presided for a while, and then after Haji Dean, I think it was Sheikh Cyril, basically Imam Cyril.
Yeah.
He was from Bartika side. I mean, he knew Hanif Mohammed, he knew Nadir Khan, and all these people. So that was the connection there. That we had some problems with Haji Dean. A very nice man, very humble, talented man, but he had. We being a consensus organization, we had problems with him because Haji Dean wanted us to, when it came to the Constitution, he wanted us to send the Quran to Tallahassee, and that the Quran is our Constitution. So we had a lot of debates about that, and we said, Haji Dean, we really can't, even Muslims have a hard time reading the Quran from page to page. How you can send Quran? We can make reference. I think there is a reference in the Constitution that the Quran will guide us in but not sending the whole thing. So it became to the point where Haji Dean resigned as the imam.
Yeah.
So we had to look around for another imam, and there came Sheikh Ali, and we went on. By that time, I would say that we were very much one jamaat. We were very much one, and we realized that maybe we should look afield for an imam. Somebody who was more dynamic and be able to educate us and educate the congregation, all that. And somebody came up with the idea that there's this sheikh in Trinidad, Maulana Shafat, and I don't recall if we invited him or he was on his way to Florida. Recently I attended a function where he seemed to indicate that he was coming to Florida for some other reason, and we sort of invited him, and he came, gave us a lecture and so on. And that was our first exposure to him. And it appears as though he was a controversial figure in Trinidad. But we said, listen, we're looking for somebody. We are not going to look at the person's baggage. We're just going to, and so we invited him to be the imam. He came, and he was here for a while. He went back, he came back, and he was going back and forth, and then eventually he settled down. And we made certain proposals to him and everything else. In the meantime, there were, the building largely had completed. We had finished the building. And we were looking now as to what can we do next? Did we pay off all our loans? Did we owe anybody? Where we continued fundraising. Fundraising was an ongoing project, and we were raising small sums of money, 5,000 here, 10,000 there, and we gradually built up. So by that time we had an imam, and by that time I cannot recall exactly what was happening. Something happened, I can't recall exactly what it was. But some people felt that there were some irregularities going on in the jamaat. And there were lots of meetings being held as to how do we solve the problem. of course, having some religious figure in the midst of us, we thought, well, listen, let's put it to our Imam, the Maulana, and see what he says and how he would resolve it, and to the best of in the interest of the community. While we were all busy with our daily day-to-day work, I mean, these lots of meetings were going on behind the scenes, and we thought that these were all constructive things were happening. In the end, what we discovered that the jamaat was being divided along the grounds of Guyanese versus Trinidadian, things like that. Now, we always, were very, what should I say? We were very proud of ourselves that we were able to bring in or attract people from wherever they came from.
Yeah.
As long as they were Muslims, we were one of the groups that welcomed them. You came from Egypt, we welcome you. You came from South Africa, we welcome you. You came from Guyana, Trinidad, small island, wherever you come from, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India. So we were that kind of group that we were bringing, yeah. And suddenly we decided, we realized that there was this man amongst us who was trying to say that Guyanese didn't want this person, this one didn't want that person. He said, this is not a healer. This is not a person who's working in the interest of unity. He was working in the interest of division. So eventually in that process, there were elections. There were many elections over, I think at that time, every 2 years or every 3 years was election. And that took us into the early 90s, where there were many elections and, different presidents were appointed, and we worked. When I came to the presidency, I don't recall if it's in 1990 or 94, somewhere around there, I thought that, and again, we talked earlier about the naivety of it all. I thought, I don't see why we all cannot get along. There were not enough big issues to divide us.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of my time trying to go around to the various groups, talking to them. Went to the Trinidadian group, brought them in. I went to they called themselves at that point the IMOF, Islamic Movement of Florida.
Yeah.
I went to that group. That group mainly was spearheaded by Brother Nasib Khan, Munir Khan, the one who was running the madrasa now, what's his name? Mansur Ali, right? Yeah. Mansur Ali, Faisal Gajraj, Faisal Gajraj. He's still around. He does it at the cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a few others. And I said to them, I had many meetings. Many, as I said, many of these meetings were recorded.
Yeah.
And I said to them, listen, we are from the same background, we're the same country. I'm not a religious scholar. People pulled me in to lead the organization because they felt that I was contributing substantial sums of money, and I should take an interest in what happens to the money and how things are run. And Yusuf Mohammed, Jamal Haq, and so many others used to come here, park up night after night. You got to get involved. You got to get involved. You must get involved. And days and weeks went on, and eventually I was pulled into the whole thing. Once I was pulled in, I'm a person who believes that once I commit myself to something, I have to see it to the end. And I got involved and started going around the community, believe me, my brother, when I say that when I came to the presidency of Nur Ul Islam, when they say that Dr. Khan has been declared the president, I did not know more than so many people in Nur Ul Islam, one finger, that I can say that I know this person or I know this person, and I can put this name to this face. I knew nobody. People, I guess, supported me because somehow the other they perceived that I could be able to unify the people. Whatever it was, I thought that I was ill-equipped to be the one who should run this organization. So I started looking to the religious people, and the perception was that IMOF was a religious group of brothers. And I said to them, listen, leave the running of the organization to us. You all run the religious aspect of it. Come in. Start teaching us. Start doing things. I mean, do what you're free to do. Just come to the executive committee, because by that time we had a constitution. We had an executive committee. We even tried to incorporate some of them into our executive. And initially, everybody said, listen, you're having an organization within an organization. Well, we said, all right, give us a chance. Let them see that we have a good faith, and we will see that they have good faith, and we will eventually break down barriers, and we will be merged. Few years passed, and at the first election that came around, to our surprise, the IMOF were fielding candidates for the election. And we said to them, listen, why are you doing that? You could say that if you want like a secretary or treasurer or something, you want a few positions, you put up people to those positions. But you were running a parallel slate to our slate. I said, it doesn't make sense. And I said, it is like laughing in our face that you came in to be part of our organization, and now you are trying to take over the organization. I said, people will not go for that. It didn't work. It didn't work, and eventually they were well entrenched in our organization. They were running our madrasa. They were involved in a lot of ladies program. They were involved in a lot of teaching programs. And so it was hard to say, listen, cease and desist. So it was a very delicate period of time, very challenging for all of us. How do we solve this problem now? While all this was going on, prior to this, and I don't remember the years, and the details is not important, but Maulana Shafait went off on his own. He pulled a few people from our organization, sucked out a few, and went. Azad Ali was one of those. And being a Maulana, I mean, and having people did not have an understanding of exactly what was happening. And people thought that we were against this man. And no matter what we do to tell people that we are not against him, we were trying to work with him. It didn't work out. He decided. And I remember vividly in the end, I went with a few other brothers, sat with him, and I said, Maulana, we've got nothing against you. We want you to come back and work with us. But we have an executive. And as you know, we've always had an executive. And this is how our organization was formulated. The organization was formulated by people like Asad Yusuf, Yusuf Mohammed, and so many others, was based on the United States Constitution, in the sense that there was an executive committee, right? who had the running in the organization and they in charge. There was a board of trustees, like the Senate, right? Then you had all these other committees, subcommittees, and so on that was running the organization. So we said, you deal with the religious aspect, we will deal with this.
Yeah.
I said, look at our constitution. It gives enormous powers to the imam, right? So he said no. He cannot work with any committee, and he will not work with any committee. And I said, at that point, I said, Maulana, let us shake hands and part company. Little did we know that this man was going to go and set up a parallel organization and pull away all these people. So there we had one pulling in this direction, another one pulling in that direction. IMOF went, got large donations from our congregation, bought the place on Davy Road Extension. Asad Ali gave the seed money to buy the place on Pines Boulevard, and they went off at that. In the meantime, while all this was happening, another group broke off and went to Coral Springs, and they opened up. They were pivotal in the Coral Springs Jamaat. And then later on, after one or two cycles of elections, Amir Khan, Yunus, and so many of the other people who were went off and started there. They got the land from my sister-in-law's brother, I forget his name, and the land was ill-suited for a masjid because I think 3/4 of the land was retention area. They couldn't do a lot of things with it that they were supposed to get done. So anyhow, they went ahead, and I spent a lot of time with those people. I went, sat down, talked to Amir Khan, talked to Yasin, talked to Nazim Baksh, Yunus, all of them. And I said, listen, this is not a good thing. I said, there are severe penalties for these things that you all are doing. Go read the good book, you will see it. I said, because this is not, I said, whatever you all think you want, let us come sit down and see what compromise can be made so we can avoid that. So you can see at that point, our organization was decimated. People were everywhere. But anyhow, we stayed on track.
Yeah.
Whatever the track was that the initial people decided, we put together the constitution, the plans, the long-term plan, the plan for a school, the plan for a madrasa, the plan for outreach to the non-Muslim community, all those things, plan for a hall. All those things haven't been achieved, they've not been accomplished up to now. There's still so much to be accomplished. But we stayed the course. We stayed the course, and we were fortunate. We still had Aziz, who was still alive, and he was still very instrumental and viable. And that once we could raise $5 or $10, he would buy $5 or $10 concrete and put it there. So after we finished that initial building, we said, again, the older heads came and this was the strategy. The strategy was there was development all around us. And we, at one point, had to go to the Broward County Board of Commissioners only to get permission to build a minaret. And we went and we petitioned them, and to our surprise, I mean, God's work is so great. By the time Yusuf and I had made our presentation, one commissioner asked for a 10-minute recess. And when they came back, they said, we don't need any more presentations. There's a unanimous decision Broward County Commissioners they have approved 100-foot minaret on the Nur Islam property. They said there is nothing like that in Cooper City, and therefore they have no problems with it. And it was recorded in the city. We came back and we said to ourselves now, we had made that decision that we were not going to build one big long building, we were going to build several small buildings. So what's the next thing we were going to build? We were going to build a school. And therefore, why a school? Because we knew at the end we were going to have so much development around us that if there was a priority for the community outside, the non-Muslim community, to block us, they will much easier block a school, but not a mosque. So we said we will keep our mosque for the end. We know it's going to be here, but we're going to build that at the end. So we built the elementary school building, what we call the elementary school building. We built that and we started that. Didn't have a lot of money. We took big loans, $50,000 loans and all that, from people in New York, Guyanese, who were amazed at what we were doing here, while they were having a hard time to do it in New York. So they were willing to lend us the money because they saw that we were doing a lot of things. So we started that building, and the building progressed. And then Aziz, the contractor, came to us and said, listen, with very little bit more, I could build a mirror image to that building nearby, which you all can use for administration. So that's how the building that is housing Sister Aisha and all of them, they're now called the administrative building, was built. The 4 walls and the foundations were down while this one was going up. And then simultaneously, we would buy extra blocks, and Aziz will put the blocks and raise it up to the tie beam. And next thing you know, there was tie beam, there were trusses, there was a roof, and one thing that. So we had now 3 buildings. And we stayed with those 3 buildings for quite a long time. And then we said, what's the next thing we're going to do? And they said, well, even up to that time, when we want to have large functions, we would have to go and rent a hall. It'll cost us $2,000, $3,000 to rent a hall. So we said we must embark upon the hall. So we went and we got this plans for the 10,000 square foot hall. Again, Aziz was alive. He put the foundation. We put the floor. No roof. I remember the eastern wall of that hall came crashing down in one of the hurricanes. The wall was not, the tie beam was not up yet. So that, the tie beam is what holds the structure. The blocks were up. That hurricane pushed all the blocks down. And we had to redo that whole eastern wall of the hall up to the tie beam, and then, secure it with the tie beam, and then bring in all the steel structures to hold, to carry the roof and all that. But the hall took 10 years to complete, from beginning to end. The hall was constructed during 2 or 3 presidencies. One of the promise that one of the presidents, I prefer not to mention names, he said he will build a hall finish the hall in 3 months, 4 months, or whatever it was, in a short time. And it turned out years passed, his whole presidency came about, and he was not able to complete it. He was not able to complete it because he couldn't raise funds. We couldn't raise the kind of money that we needed to complete the hall. The hall cost about $1.2, $1.3 million. And when you tell people in Nur Islam that we have to raise $1 million or $2 million, it blows their mind. So the hall fell into my lap at the end in one of my presidencies that we came, and I must say that Aziz was still alive. Aziz passed away during the construction of that hall. I think he passed away during the construction of the hall. We didn't see it completed. He had made plans for the mosque. He was able to take us up to a certain point. I mean, the roof was on and all that. And up to the end, he was able to give us all the advice that we need. And it was a big loss when he passed away, because we didn't have anybody like him to advise us or to do things, to get things done. Yeah. Because he was the doer. I mean, we would supply the funds, he would get it done. Yeah. And that was that. So we thank God for people who believed in the project. I was busy with my work. My wife, she had some expertise, because when we bought this house as a shell, and we had to complete the house, finish the house, all the inside work, so we knew a lot of people around, where do you go to get tiles, where do you get to get this, who's the plumber, who's the this, that. That's the sort of thing that we had to go to do as the money came in. Go and buy the tiles, bring the tiles there, this thing, deliver that, get the plumber, get the brick mason, so all those things took time. Who do we get to pay for the cabinets? The cabinets in the kitchen were donated by Brother Dr. Latif. So there were so many things like that. People, it's human nature that once they see things happening, they get encouraged. They're much faster to donate some funds when they see something is happening. Yeah. So once things happening and they came and they saw things, I would bring a brother here. I would bring a Pakistani brother and say, listen, brother, here's the hall. We need funds to finish this hall. He will take out his checkbook and write me a $3,000 check. Or so things like that happened, because people were encouraged. They were seeing what was happening with the funds. But that's how, little by little, we were able to finish the hall. The early pioneers, in the meantime, we had to fall back to Sheikh Ali as the Imam, and then when Sheikh got ill, he developed kidney problems. Then we had to Ustad Beg became the Imam. Following Ustad Beg, we had, I think at that point in time, we did not have an Imam for a while. And I don't remember who became, there and then appeared two people. One was Imam Mubarak. I don't know if you ever met Imam Mubarak. You know him?
Yes, I know.
The old man?
Yeah.
He appeared on the scene from Guyana, from New York. He came from New York. And then another brother appeared on the scene, Ayub Khan. Ayub Khan. So Ayub Khan became the Imam. Mubarak was the deputy Imam for quite a long time, until Ayub Khan got ill also and was bedridden. Imam Mubarak took over and carried on for a while, and in the meantime we were looking for people, and we realized that there was a need, and the IMOF people started splitting apart in that time, and there Nasib came back to us. What's his name? The Madrasab guy, Mansoor Ali, came back to us, and as I always say, our net is always open, because we don't have anything against these people. They came, they wanted to come, we make a place for them. You want a position, you want to be Imam, we make it happen. So by that time, we were very well, we had a good executive. We had people who were there for a while. Alan Bax became the president for a while. All along, we had, during that early days, the school was strengthening up itself. In one of those periods, in that early period when I became president, we were always querying, why can't we get modular units for a school like the public school system? And everybody said, no, we can't do that. And finally, we got legal opinion. We had an attorney who advised us. We went and we petitioned Cooper City, and we got the first module. We got the first module, then we got the second module. And then that whole back wing behind the masjid, the one that runs east to west, was constructed. And then the other part was constructed behind that. All that was to accommodate the breakfast program. The madrasa was accommodated there. The school was started there, in that little back part, what we call the library now. Yeah. And I went to one meeting, and can't remember where it was held. It was held in one of the hotels in Fort Lauderdale. And there was a sister, Pakistani sister, who had a school. The school's name was Tilat Tots. Tilat. Her name was Tilat. She was married to an Italian guy, De Ross. So her name was Tilat De Ross. And during that meeting, she made a very emotional plea that she started a school that had, I don't know, she had 10, 15, 20 students at that point in time, a private school, nursery school. And she was asking the Muslim community for help in expanding her school and developing the programs and all of that. And we came back afterwards, and I called together the Nur Islam, me and Yusuf and so many others. And we said, listen, what can we do to help Tilat? And we had a meeting with Tilat. We told her, we said, listen, let us help you. Bring your school to Nur Islam. You can call it whatever you want, Tilat's Academy or whatever, but run it here. Let's start it and get expanded. And she did that. She came. And Tilat stayed for about, I don't know, 2-3 years maybe. She was the principal of the school. She was the first principal of Nur Islam Academy. And we then developed another body, the board of directors of the school. We had people like Dr. Moise Tapia, who was a professor at the University of Miami. I don't know if you know Moise Tapia. No, yeah. We had Mufti Hassan. You know Mufti Hassan? Mufti Hassan was one of our directors. Imam Hassan Sabri, who was the Imam at Pompano Masjid. We had Imam Rayad, who was the Imam here at that little masjid in the black community there on Sunrise. He was also Imam at the mosque in Pompano before Sabri. And so many others, some of whom I can't remember now. Yusuf Mohammed was a director. Alan Baksh came in as a director. So quite a few people came in. We had a 6 or 8 board of directors, and enormous amount of time and energy it took. We used to be meeting every weekend sometimes. And all of these people dedicated their time and energy, and we started discussing curriculum, dress code, do the girls wear hijab or no hijab, all of this stuff, was trashed out. And then the time came eventually, and that was the time that Imam Hassan Sabri left us. He came in, he was the president of the school. And during that time, we recruited Sheikh Kem Hussein. We were checking around for some teachers. We went to Canada, we went all around the place looking for people. Kem Hussein was recommended to us by Maulana Sadiq Nasir. You know Sadiq Nasir from Trinidad? He's a Guyanese too. And we brought him down. And he brought down Abdul Rahman Tuahir, who was a math teacher in New York. And he was recruited. And then so many others were recruited that came and went, they came and left from time to time. There was another brother, Indian brother, who was a science teacher. We recruited him. He came in and he went back to Pennsylvania. They served 3-4 years. And so the school grew from strength to strength. Imam Sabri left us because there was a difference of opinion about accreditation. We felt that we wanted a school that can take the kids from pre-K all the way to grade 12 and on to college. And in order to do that, we had to have accreditation. Accreditation means that you have reached a certain status, you are conforming to certain norms, and that you're recognized. And universities recognize that accreditation. And that's how you get your students in. Sabri felt that we didn't need any accreditation by anybody. We were our own accreditors. We as Muslims, we accredit ourselves. And we said, no, we can't agree to that. And he left on that basis. So from time to time, we had many policy decisions like that where people seriously differed on matters of policy. And we had to make the decision that this is the consensus is this, and therefore, we can't continue the relationship. And many relationships had to be terminated based on that. The people, in the meantime, we were busy building the buildings. Somebody said that, Nur Islam is very good at building buildings, but we are not building any programs. And I said to them, brothers, why you all build the programs, we will build the buildings. We'll have a happy union. But that was not to be, and therefore the subsequent 10 or 20 or 30 years met us with many people who filled in as imams, but we were able to hold it together, and we were able to separate the Islamic part of it from the administrative part of it. The school developed, the numbers developed, the space developed. We were able to get up to the 8th grade. So we had developed the lower school and the middle school. And then we said, what's it going to take for us to get to the 12th grade? There was a lot of money involved to get us up. We had to build labs, science labs, and all kinds of things like that. So we decided that, listen, after a few years, we want to go further. And we started, we had a lot of teachers who were do-gooders. They came, they worked with us, they helped us. They didn't require any salary. Some required very little salary. And gradually the school became, started standing on its feet.